really should put a black armband on my hand. I need it for tomorrow. Weaver John C., Rosamond, California, still the 18th of February. Time of dicks, don't ask me. I can't see what shit without my glasses. This particular video is concerning about grief and about the long-term effects of grief. Some people can actually power through it and actually work with it and deal with it, while other times are constantly dealing with grief and everything else happening around it. Tomorrow is an 8-year anniversary of my mother, MARYANN Shaw's death. The pictures that you see behind me in the hutch, behind me there, Walter Kid. My mother, a few years before she passed away, actually about 4 years before she passed. The last one, and she has a dog right next to her. That was our last Christmas. The one down below is me and my brother and her back in 2002 at the LA County Fair. Hell of a woman, my mother. Raised 2 boys of her own. I was always told stories concerning about my mother's history at this point over but some of them I didn't quite believe. I know she was born, what was it, Tinta? Pueblo, Colorado. Family moved down to Utah, settled in a town called Hiawatha, Utah. Claire Marshall was there. Claire was her mother. Ida Mae Marshall, her sister. A couple of years older. Both of them passed away. Aunt Mae back in 1979, Grandma back in 1982. I got to do a video one of these here days concerning about my family history and post pictures up whatever I can. It's going to be one of the hardest damn genealogies I'm going to be doing, as much as memories I have. Ma had several siblings with her. At least one sister and several brothers. One of them was what we called Uncle Bill, Raymond Cameron. Has a son named after him. I always called him Uncle Bill. Morris Cameron, I think is his name. Yeah, Morris. Of course, I know Raymond Cameron and Chris Cameron's going to jump on my ass for this one. The wife was June Cameron. Raymond was my brother's age, roughly. Chris, roughly mine. There are stories about them as well. There's also Uncle Robert Carey, a guy named Uncle John. The memory's filtering on the others. Those are the major uncles I knew of. His sister was Irene. She got married to a gentleman named George Stiffus. Called her Aunt Rainey all the time. Older sister to my mother. My mother was a sickly kid, born with health conditions. Epilepsy was a major problem out there. She would go into fits. Doctors couldn't figure it out, couldn't help her out much. Had her some medications, had her seizures. There was also a procedure that they did. My mother told me about this one. Tried to research this damn thing, but couldn't find any references to it. A craniectomy. I mean, actually evacuated the air in the brain just so they could study the thing. How they x-ray it somehow. I did something like that to my mother? Jeez. Freaked me out as much. Well, I was born back in October of 1938. I lived in a coal mining town, Hiawatha, Utah, Carbon County area, mountainous region. Rich in coal. The United States Coal Company was running the area. There's history about that one too. Government run, government buildings all over the place, government owned. Company store. And they had the proverbial tracks, so to speak, and literal. If you had money, you lived on one side of the tracks. If you didn't, you lived on the other slum side. My mother lived on the slum side. As much as the story she was trying to tell me about that one. But she grew up somewhat happy in that area. She met a few people. The guy was named Elgin. I think he passed away years ago too. He was like a dear friend. My mother moved, the grandmother, away from the area after things got south in that area. And everyone had to move out their separate ways. They lived out in Salt Lake, I think. Somehow or another, my mother met a U.S. Army sergeant named Harry Shaw. Harry was just getting out of the war. He was a cook. He knew how to cook for a large amount of people. My mother was growing up to be a teenager at this point over here. She had gone to school, she had learned, she had gone through the elementary stage, but she never completed junior high because she looked as if she was a very older woman. It attracted my adopted father's, I should call it, attention there, and spirited away over to Texas, where somehow they were married. She had my brother, a very teenage ear. Dallas, Texas. Meanwhile, my grandmother moves over with her sister out to Oakland, California. Ma had a lot of tall tales. Most of them are forgotten about, except for a house that Ma fell in love with at Harry Shaw. Actually, not Worth. Harry Shaw bought her out of Texas. Very small cottage, but my mother fell in love with the place. They lived there for a few years until Harry decided to sell it. Pissed Ma off a great deal and upset her, broke her heart. She loved that place. But he was also drinking heavily and became a wife beater. So my mother could tell me. She divorced him in Texas. She was telling me at one particular night she had to get away from him after he beat her up a little bit. Beat her up a little bit, shit. She had him in a bunting bag, sewed him up, beat the crap out of him, and took off and left with David. Went over to live in Oakland with my grandmother and aunt. She was going to be moving down here in the Southland of California, Los Angeles area, looking for work and looking for a new opportunity. She was sharp. She never did complete her education or schooling at this point over here. She was too old to go through schooling, and they didn't have the GED, so she was stuck with whatever limited education, but she was an avid reader. She would read and do crossword puzzles like crazy. Hell, even a New York crossword was no match for her, she said to me. But she needed a place to stay for my brother so he can go through school. So my brother became part of a de facto family of my aunt, Aunt Rainey, and 3 sisters. Georgia Lynn, Tony Ray, God rest her soul, and Terry Lee. Lived out in Bell. Actually, in Huntington Park, in Bell. My brother had education. He actually went through kindergarten, also went through elementary school with him. The cousins were like sisters to him. Well before I was born. And then she had to meet my father. Jack Elmo Weaver. I don't know what about this one here. Because the stories were getting vague on this one here. She kept telling me that this guy was a magician, he was an inventor, he had money. He invented machines that got patents on them, sold them over to Sweetheart Cop. One night he took her out to Catalina. I was called Love Child after that. Never did see the son of a bitch. Ever. Talked to him once when I was a young kid, about 5 years old. He hung up on my ass. Ma called him up. Wanted me to be introduced to him. Actually, I was about 6 or 7. It left a lasting memory in me, and a lasting resentment towards the bastard. God rest his soul, God save his soul. Damn shame I never knew what the hell happened to the asshole. Ma calls him up. Said, "This is your son." "Hi, Dad. Who are you?" "Your son, John." "Who?" "John Weaver." Click. "Hello? Hello? Ma, why do you hang up? Why do you hang up?" Ma never knew. There was checks coming in to help support me, and then they stopped. Disappeared off the map. Couldn't find him ever since. Probably changed his name, disappearance, or God knows what else. Ma had a hell of a life trying to raise 2 boys. I was the youngest and the sickest. 8 years difference between me and my brother. Well, Ma actually found work and found a place out in, Huntington Park. She brought my brother over there. I was born Downey, so lived in Huntington Park for a couple of years. With a hell of a lot of health issues. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. Grandma moved down to help take care of me. It's not until we moved out to North Hollywood, in San Fernando Valley, a couple of years later, that I was really becoming sick. And she took me over to a doctor one day. He looked at me, heard the heart, and said, "Get him in the hospital. Now." Heart murmur. Hell with that. I had leakage. He heard the leakage. Next thing I know, I'm getting myself operated on at a major hospital. I mean, they stabilized me enough at a community hospital in North Hollywood. And then Cedar Sinai of Lebanon, which is now the Church of Scientology out there on Sunset Boulevard. But back then, it was Cedars of Lebanon. I was part of the Cedar Sinai Corporation. They saved my ass. Heart operation, 3 times died on the table, but came back to life 3 times. Put Ma in a damn straitjacket, almost. David was still young enough. But he was also having emotional issues concerning about me and Ma and everything else. So she had to deal with his particular situation while dealing with me growing up. While we're living in North Hollywood and then moving from place to place, she also had to take care of my grandmother and my great aunt. He was with us at one time back in '76 after a car accident. To take care of grandma and great Aunt May. Took care of Aunt May for a few years out in Arlington, and then she passes away. Grandma and Ma have arguments with each other. Living in the Granada Hills back in '79, I'm going to junior high during that time. And then Grandma had to go see her family again, share family stories with each other. Ma's dealing with me as a junior high kid. But then we discovered that Grandma had a stroke in San Diego. Well, I had to fly out to San Diego, actually drive down to San Diego and drive Grandma back home after Grandma was stabilized for a time. And I had to spend some quality time with friends of mine in their family, the Reeves. Reeve, actually. Mary Dolores Boutros Reeve, their family. God rest his soul. Family became my surrogate family. Maud took care of Grandma as best as she could. During that time, my brother was also in the Navy, tried to get out on hardship leave. Navy couldn't do it, so he went AWOL. My brother spent about a year and a half taking care of Grandma and Ma and me. Went back in, had to take care of brig time before he came out. Bad conduct. Or as the computer would say these days, other than honorable. And he had to struggle like crazy. Ma did too. She never did take a GED, but she had to work. After Grandma passed away in '82, she went out looking for work, and she found different jobs. She busted her ass for a hell of a long while. She wanted to get her own business going. She went to HR block, learned more about accounting and also income tax specialist, and specialized in it. Had her own business for a while. I tell about her a little bit here because there's so much to talk about regarding Mama that sometimes it's hard for me to go over the information in my head without me going nuts with the tears and everything else. I suppose tomorrow's going to be the kind of day for it in the first place. And I'm not looking forward to it. Neither was I looking for the day when she passed away. But then again, I saw the long slope happening within the last 10 years of her life. My brother knew. My brother could try to educate me about it. I just wanted not to ignore it. I was trying to ignore it, but my brother kept reminding me so many damn times. The last of her days. I get injured on a job site. Barely could take care of myself, but I still had to take care of her and David. And he was already disabled enough anyway with his back and neck. Actually, with his back and knees going crazy. She passes away and my whole world goes nuts. We struggled, we survived. We had to move from where we're living in Lancaster, California to Roseman, California. Prior to that, my family had lived in the San Fernando Valley from 1968 all the way through 2005. We had to move out because rent was too damn high out there. The place we were at, we exceeded our limitations, so we had to leave. Not to mention the place was being sold. So we moved. Ma's health was failing at that time. She was losing clients and her mental status was going slower than usual. She struggled like crazy with a lot of major clients, but then left her one by one. We're living in Antelope Valley for a long while before she passed away. 2013, February 19th. I'm not going to go into gory details about this one because it still hurts like hell for me to do it in the first place. I've read too many damn posts about this thing on Facebook. But going and reliving that damn time, I'll probably have to talk about it later on. What the hell happened? Or maybe I've already done it in the other videos. Last 5 years of her life was in a bed. She lived in a bed. a flat to a hospital bed. A queen-sized to a hospital bed. At home, Dave and I did the best we could to take care of her. And it was the hardest damn thing to do. Seeing her go down. She had seen her family members die off one by one. She couldn't go to any funerals or memorial services, and Dave and I couldn't do it either. Because we still had to take care of her. She tried to apologize to the family at one time, but got pissed off enough and screamed at the family. I'm still paying the price on that one. I can say I'm sorry about it, but there was nothing else we could have done. There was no way in hell we could have. So when she lost her last brother, lost a dear sister-in-law. Actually, did she have a sister? I think it was Alice. Well, she lost her favorite niece, Tony Ray. There was no going back. She was downhill. Emotionally and physically and mentally, she was downhill. She was dying. She literally willed herself to death. And everything else was happening to her left and right with all the physical ailments. Managed the symptoms left and right, but she was dying. Despite the company we kept her with her and the cable that she had. But we didn't do enough. Dave and I weren't enough. Dave and I wasn't enough. One time we did have a few family members said that they were ordered to come over, see Mom before she passed away. Never happened. It was supposed to have been a family reunion. Rumors, innuendos, conversations. That's all it was. Something to raise Mom's hope up, but not much. Never happened, even after when she passed. Dave and I struggled in Roseman. Had a trailer home, lost a trailer home. Homeless, got an apartment. And the last 5 years of his life was living out here in an apartment. 3 to 5 years, actually. What's more, I had to be a caregiver for him, too. So it was the hardest damn thing for me to talk about things like this because they hurt like hell. It's hard to sell because some memories are there and other memories are too damn painful to relate, to explain. The feelings are there. The depression kicks in. And it's hard to get past the blocks. It's a constant struggle. I've been dealing with a hell of a lot of long-term grief and depression over this. I've had depression ever since I was a young kid, but nobody ever diagnosed me properly on it. Not even with PTSD, and nobody ever had a deck back then. Nobody knew that a kid could actually have PTSD during that time. Are you kidding me? Shit. I've had so much grief and problems with my life, medical and emotional issues, and losing people left and right. That shit, no wonder I became a basket case down the road. No wonder I had issues concerning about isolation, also concerning about needing people. Shit. When you land yourself in a codependence support group, did it to myself back in the 30s. Didn't work because I wasn't ready for the damn thing. I talked about certain things, but I really wasn't ready for the damn thing. And the thing of it is, it's hard enough talking about losing Maud, losing Dave. There isn't a single day that I don't have a memory, I don't have a dream or a visitation of it. There is not one day that I do not have those. I have them. I don't have visualizations or hallucinations while I look around the apartment here, and I don't feel the chill of the air when you're around. It would have been nice, though, just to know that they were there. That there was no way to hell. And the hardest damn thing for me to do is keep looking at the cabinet right behind me and know that the ashes are there. It's bad enough when I was wearing the ashes around my neck. Those necklace things. Those metal urns. Felt like damn albatrosses. No wonder I related too much to Samuel Coleridge's epic poem of the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. I kept wondering which particular albatross did I kill, for what reason, and why am I like the guy at the end of the damn story? Forever cursed and forever doomed. Doesn't know why he still's got the albatross or the guilt around his neck. And it's hard as hell for me to deal with, because sometimes I think I haven't taken care of enough of those people when they're dead. I mean, when they're alive, not to mention when they're dead. I feel like I didn't do enough for my brother and my mother. I had been with my mother all my life. I hardly ever separated. Yeah, I never had any relationships, never had any family for myself. Nothing. My brother had been out. He went in the Navy. Things happened. He was proud to serve, but also at the same time, he got screwed over one way or another. In more ways than I could say. That caused him a hell of a lot of emotional grief, a lot of trauma down the road. And I'm not just talking about combat either. And I had to deal with that too. I'm not chest thumping. I'm not chest thumping of what I've done, or what I should have done. I'm just trying to explain the history as I remembered it. And talking about this still hurts like hell. I can't even face the damn camera when dealing with this thing, because I see the images flying through my face, past my eyes. I feel the feelings, I feel the loss. Times that my brother and I had played in different yards. The yard out in North Hollywood on Van Owen Boulevard, we lived in a house. Yellow and white house. Sandwiched between two apartment buildings in a large field, and across the street was the public housing facilities that they had. A long road of ugly building. Blue and dark blue. It was the ugliest damn thing you'd ever see in the morning. Then beyond that, you see the private houses and other apartments. In this particular house that Dave and I played in, we played in the yard. We chased a dog around left and right. Rega, like Samoyedowski. And Mom would be coming back to work, beautiful as ever. She'd worked for a company called Sweetheart Cup. She met a man named Stan Myers. There was a boss over there. God rest his soul. They became very close friends. At one time, before he got married, I think he was going to be proposing to my mother, but my brother wouldn't have it, and it kind of sabotaged the whole damn thing. It was not until decades later, after Mom died, that my brother had to make amends to Stan. That was several years ago. And that was hard to even admit and talk about that one too. Because I missed old Stan. Right now, they're all talking about it. Probably in heaven. Hopefully. The hardest thing to deal with is being the memory. Is being the living embodiment of a memory of the family. As much as I could try remembering the details. But Carrie was the name I was trying to remember for Aunt Alice and Uncle Bob. Or Robert, actually. We called him Uncle Bob. And I called him Peg Leg because did a war, either Korea or World War II. It had to be Korea. He came home with half a leg. He used to mess around with his damn leg all the time. My family, my brother, my grandmother, me, and a few of our dogs went into a station wagon years before we'd come back to the poor damn thing. Took off from Wyoming, Rock Springs. That's where we met the family for the first time. I wish I remember their cousins' names. They were family, still are. But I remember playing with Uncle Bob's, actually right here. Bob's leg all the time, hiding it so he'd have a limp all over the damn place. He'd call me Johnny Gook-Mahook, the man who made hard water. It took me decades just to figure that one out. I'm a guy that made more moonshine? Shit. But it was a good nickname anyway to have. Yeah, I miss him. I miss him a hell of a lot. I miss my family. I miss the cousins. I miss all of them. Being isolated, not able to get around as much, or the ability to get around as much, does put a stress and strain on me. And I wish I was able to get messages to them. Having a family is the most important thing a person can have in their life. It doesn't matter about the damn trinkets they surround themselves with. It's the family, it's the memories, it's the feelings, it's life. It's extension of oneself, it's extension of a family. There are too many things to describe about a family. And what hurts like hell is when you're separated and isolated from all the families that you grew up with and loved, and it takes a toll on a person. It literally takes a toll on a person, and it's been taking a toll on me for a hell of a long while. That I wish I could contact the family that I had, of the Cameron clan, of the McCarrys, of the Reeve. I miss my family. I miss them so damn much. I miss the family that's already been departed on this earth. And it sucks being a caregiver. It sucks being even worse when you're a caretaker. Caregiver, you try to do everything else you can to support them until you can no longer support them when they're alive. Now you have to support them when they're dead. And it takes pieces out of you left and right. It has taken me a hell of a long while trying to get to videos like this and audio recordings, a lot of them, to learn more and more why things have happened and why things didn't happen. And a lot of things that happened are well beyond my control and my fault. or my efforts or anything else related to me. They just were. There had been mistakes made back then that I'm not happy about. I wish we could have made peace with a long time ago. A wedding missed, a service missed. People that mattered a damn to us. Some selfish actions happened. And other things that could not have been helped. And alas, a lot of ugly things had come out. A lot of accusatory things. A lot of negativity. A lot of anger, a lot of pain, a lot of hatred, a lot of confusion. And I don't know how I can honestly look at myself in the mirror sometimes and deal with it. And sometimes when I do recognize it, when I do remember it. It's no wonder I'm isolated because I'm considered a black sheep still. I'm still part of the black sheep. I haven't had anybody contact me for the Shaw family, or for the Cameron family, or the Careys, or anybody else like that. But you know, it would be nice. I don't want to feel isolated when it's my time to go. At least I want to know that people are going to remember me. I'm not planning on dying just yet. I'm still planning on living. But it would be nice out there to hear from the family every once in a while, just to see if they still remember me and my family. If they still cared. Because quite frankly, I still care about them as well. I'm going to end this right now because I have to end this right now.